What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of 10K on the Bay, my journey to 10,000 live listings. Today, I have Ty Blunt, Dorm Room CEO, with us. Should be super exciting. We're going to talk about selling hard goods on Amazon and eBay. And Ty has a long list of different things that he's working on. So I think it should be a pretty fun talk today. Ty, why don't you give us a little introduction? Tell us who you are, where you live, what kind of stuff you like to sell.
How's it going, guys? Chris, thank you for the invite. This is awesome. First off, I'm 23 and I live in Scottsdale, Arizona. So what I really like to sell is between three main things: cars, guns, and vintage electronics. Those are my three things I sustain on and what I build my business on. And also your bread and butter things that we see every day that Chris has been really good at showing you guys in some of his videos.
This is super exciting. Why don't we just get straight into it? How do you sell gun or gun parts on eBay?
So guns are actually restricted on eBay. So you have to use your local listings or gun broker or arms list to sell those things. But there's a little fun fact. You actually can sell certain guns on eBay, as in pellet guns and BB guns. And those are actually great margins and great things you can buy. They sell for a couple $100, and you can actually sell them on eBay since they are not gunpowder related. Like this crossbow right here, actually you can sell crossbows on eBay as well. So those are some cool, interesting facts we can do on eBay.
I have a question for you and see if you know the answer.
Sure.
What are the top three categories for profit for reselling globally? And the top three things.
Clothes has to be one, I feel like.
No.
Really?
No. Top three categories for most profitable niches on earth. The top three.
Oh, on earth, not just eBay?
Not just eBay.
Okay, cars has to be one. Really? No. I have no idea then.
Think illegal.
Guns, drugs. I don't know.
That's two.
Drugs. Okay. And third one, I have no idea. Shoot me with a hint.
We don't have to worry about it here in the States. There's not much of it here, but people bring it here. What do you think? So weapons and drugs is two of the top three, right? So you can't sell drugs on eBay, but drugs is massively huge. All kinds of drugs. I would even consider coffee a drug. And then weapons, and the third one.
No idea. Give me. You gotta tell me now.
I'll just tell you. Robert in the chat hit it. It's people. It's human trafficking.
Okay.
I mean, those are illegal, but I mean, we're talking about people who pay 30 to 50 grand just to get into a different country. You know what I mean? So it's crazy looking at it. Human trafficking, weapons, that kind of stuff is just massive. But yeah, let's go back into the gun talk. So there's certain restrictions. You can sell some guns. Is that vintage guns?
Any kind of like propelled via gunpowder gun. So anything above a 22 rifle. So anything below that, as in pellet guns and BB guns, and obviously airsoft guns, those are counting guns, but you can sell those on eBay.
Amazing. What about bullets?
Bullets are restricted as well. You can't sell those. Those you gotta go through gun broker or through your back page listings are probably the two best, or even arms list works out sometimes too.
Gotcha. It's kind of a controversial topic because, like, you know, we had the Vegas shooting. There's people that are worried about people selling guns online. Does that ever worry you when you're selling in that category?
Yeah, no, definitely it does. Because especially when you deal with people on Backpage, you don't know who they are. Like eBay, you send something out, you never see the person's face. But when you deal with people, especially selling, buying, I'll talk to that in a second. But buying's easier, but selling, you don't know who these people are. You get a phone number. Hey, are you selling this? Yeah, for sure. Check it out. You need to have your license and a bill of sale, and then we're good. Because personally, there's no such, you cannot check, especially in Arizona, we have very, very loose gun laws that you can't check somebody's if they can technically buy or not. So that's why you ask for either a concealed weapons permit or you just gotta do some luck, right? But at least you got a bill of sale to know that you sold it to them.
Gotcha. So how do you look for it? Are you looking on Craigslist, garage sales? Where are you finding them?
So that's a good question. So my favorite places are estate sales. This is something that y'all can do. Is pick up your phone the day before estate sale and call every estate sale in. For me, it's Arizona. Hey, my name's Ty. I'm looking for guns, old video games, and old film cameras. Do you have any of these? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. I'll check it out. Or can I buy it today? Go to their place and then obviously bargain them down.
Do you have to be a certain age to buy stuff related to guns?
Correct. So in Arizona, you have to be 21 to buy anything, but like anything other than like a hunting rifle. So you have to be 18 to buy hunting rifles or shotguns in Arizona at least.
Are you an open carry state?
Yes, you are. We are, and we're concealed carry without a permit. So anybody over 21 can have a gun on them in Arizona, a pistol on them, concealed or not concealed.
Wow. So when you go and get a gun at an estate sale, do they have to check your ID and record information regarding you?
They don't have to. A lot of people don't, and they don't. They just kind of. It's weird. For me, as somebody that buys and holds on and uses them and then sells them, I make sure that I have a bill of sale just to protect myself and the seller. Because then, if it is an illegal gun, it's not on me; it's on the seller of that gun. Because I have a bill of sale, it means I paid for that gun.
Wow, that's crazy. It's a very strict here in California. I'll have to take a look
Oh
and
yeah.
see if I can get some stuff here, but I highly doubt it. It's very difficult. But we'll see. Guns, definitely. The only guns I've sold is Nerf guns, which sell fantastic. Sell like crazy.
Definitely. You should. I garage sales in the state sales. You should look at BB guns and pellet guns. They are insane, especially like old vintage. I sold the old vintage Daisy one, and it sold instantly, and you got maybe some cash, which is nice.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we have something very unique in common. We have both sold a supercar. I think maybe you've sold more than one, and I just want to go quickly go over this for people. If you're going to sell a car on eBay, it needs to usually be rare because like eBay doesn't have the traffic that like Auto Trader or Cars.com or Craigslist does for flipping vehicles, and at a $50 charge per car, it's not usually the first place I would go to flip a car. But you've sold a couple of I don't know how many, but you've definitely sold a supercar because I watched that video.
No, definitely. I've been selling cars since I was 12. My first car I actually bought for $700. Me and my pops fixed it up and then sold that one. That was my first car, and I actually drove a couple of cars I built, and it's been fun. But yeah, you hit it right on the point. Really rare cars are perfect for eBay. Everything else, do local listings or even Car Guru or Auto Trader is great as well.
Amazing. So tell us about the one supercar you've sold, and I'll go over. I've only sold one.
No, you definitely. I sold a couple. My favorite probably would be the R8 that you saw in the video.
Yep.
So it's you don't really buy them. You on consignment. I have a couple contacts that call me up all the time saying, "Hey, I have this car. You want to sell it? Yes or no? Sure, why not?" And I get a percentage of that car sale, the total sale, right? So it's really fun, and you get to drive the cars around. That's my favorite part. So I really enjoyed it. I sold it on eBay. That car I sold a little while ago, probably about 6 months ago. Yeah, it was a good time.
That's amazing. I sold for Lexus here in California for about 4 years. Sold just over 1,000 cars. Sold a lot of cool stuff. I sold an H1 with 500 miles on it. A girl had inherited it. 16-year-old girl inherited an H1 Hummer.
Wow.
She brought it in. It needed some parts. I drove it to the dealership. It got 4 miles a gallon. It had a 100-gallon external tank.
Insane.
And it had, which is 100 gallons is $400 of gas just for that part of it. And then it had a winch on it, which is like this device you can use to drive it through the swamp. And it had 500 miles on it. One of her, I don't know who gave it to her, but she's like, I need a regular car. So like we sold her like a Toyota Corolla plus 40 grand. We gave her $40,000 check plus this cheap car that she could just drive as a 16-year-old for the car. And we sold it on eBay for huge money. As soon as I posted it, we had tons of offers because H1s are rare. They're not really in production. And then people were looking for them. And I sold it to a bodybuilder. So that doesn't quite count as a supercar, but very rare, very cool. And that's something that you would put on Craigslist. It went from California to Minnesota. So it's cool. Let's talk about the R8. You did, so it was a consignment deal?
Yeah, consignment. The majority of the high end cars I do consignment. They're so I don't have $50,000 to $100,000 laying around to flip it. So it's consignment. One of my mentors, he has really nice cars. He said, "Hey, Ty, want to sell this?" It was actually my first supercar, and for me, I always say yes. Right? You always if you see prospects something that you can do or get into, I always
Yep.
yes. It doesn't matter if I never sold a supercar before. I said yes, right? So he said, "Oh yeah, I'm down to do it. Have you done it before?" Okay, yeah, sure, why not? Skate around it, and then he gave me the keys and the title, and then sold it on eBay for a couple bucks.
So how do you do consignment on a car? Like, obviously you can't do 60/40 like a normal consignment deal for something cheap. How do you break down the deal?
Yeah, so I just take a little bit off the top. So everything between 10 and 5% depending on how much the value of the car is, and I get a percentage of the total sale. So if it sells for $200,000, depending on the deal we make off, I make the 5 to 10% on that total sale.
Amazing. That's a great commission check.
Oh yeah, it's really nice, right? It's a great bump. We're talking about home runs before we got on this episode, and that's a
Mhm.
home run, right? That's something that you can use on a lot of things, and it becomes very very handy in building your portfolio of items and things you can sell.
I mean, if you had a supercar in your listing, it's definitely going to boost the entire value of your store. That's a great
Oh yeah.
idea. Also, when you're looking at super high end stuff, it's pretty common to find it on consignment. You know, people that have the money to buy a 400, $500,000 car, $100,000 car, they don't have time. For them, time is very limited because they're usually running a big operation, or, you know, money management is no joke when you're at that level.
Mhm.
The supercar I sold was $419,000.
Ooh.
Lexus LFA, about 150 in production for the US, 500 total. I put it on eBay. The guy said, "I'd like to make an appointment for next Monday at 9 a.m." I responded, "Okay." And there was no phone number, no way to reach this guy. And then my boss is like, "Are you sure you have an appointment on this car?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, because I think people that would buy this car would be like that. They wouldn't be like, 'What's the fuel economy?' You know, like they don't care. They either they want it or they don't want it. They're not going to ask questions. They're going to say, 'Is it still available?' Maybe." And so my boss said, "Okay, it's 419 grand. There's $69,000 profit on this car. So let's Okay, and I don't want to pay for it because I have to pay a very expensive fee. When you own a dealership, sometimes a bank will loan you the money, or floor it, or Lexus will front the money for you, and then you have to pay a certain amount." And he's like, "I have to pay a ridiculous fee for this, so I definitely want you to sell it. I don't even care on this car. You can give up whatever amount you want as long as it's profitable. Let's get rid of it. I want to launch this thing. I mean, how often are we gonna get a buyer on this thing?" So I said, "Okay." And I told him I want $10,000 if I sell this car because it's a lot. Like, and it's not that easy to find it. I paid my own money to get it on the eBay. He said, "Okay." So I posted it, and the guy came in, no jewelry, all orange, very normal looking guy, right? And also no
Yeah.
cell phone. This guy did not have a cell phone, so you couldn't reach him. And you had to email him and just wait for him to eventually get back to you. And I said, "Hey, this car's gonna be $419,000 with tax. Do you want to register?" And he had two homes, which I figured out while investigating and getting to know him. I said, "It's gonna be $419,000. Do you want to pay by wire transfer, or would you like to write a check?" Instead of, because if you were to say it's 419,000, what do you think of the price? Then you give the person an opportunity to ask for a discount.
Yep.
And I didn't give him an opportunity to ask for a discount. I just asked him how he wanted to pay, and he said, "I'll do a wire transfer. I'd also like to finance." And I said, "Oh man, I that took me by surprise because I didn't think you could finance a car that expensive."
Mhm.
So I said, "Sure." Like you said, I always say yes first. No, I'm not gonna say I don't think it's available because that's gonna ruin the transaction. So I got his information. We submitted to the bank. The bank auto approved him. They're like, "Sure, no problem. This guy, he's owned multiple supercars in the past. He's a pillar of the community. He's a business owner. Go for it. He can take it home today." So I was like, "All right." So I went back. I said, "We need $100,000 down payment. The payment's $5,800 a month." he said, okay. That was it. I signed it. Lexus sent somebody from Japan to explain how to use the car. He let me drive it around the block. It was very cool. And the maintenance package was 20,000 for 2 years.
Hmm.
So I mean, getting one of these supercars is not the end of the cost. It takes a lot of money to
Oh
take
yeah.
care of it. $2,000 for the oil change, which is every 2,000 miles.
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
like high performance cars, high maintenance. He traded in, or he wanted to trade in a Maserati that I also drove, a Quadriporte, very cool car. It required that you replace the clutch every 4,000 miles. And I'm like, that's insane. He's like, yeah, I spend about 10 grand every couple of months just maintaining this car. So this Lexus is actually very cheap to maintain, actually. And
Hmm.
I was like, okay. And I had to verify the insurance. The bank said, we'll give him the money, make sure that his bank or his insurance is cool with it. It needs to be insured before he touches it.
Hmm.
Okay, I called the insurance company. They sent me over the policy, 40 grand a year. So
Oh.
just for insurance, 40 grand a year. So we're talking about a massive mortgage payment just to take care of the cars, and this ridiculous stipulation that said he can't drive it more than 2,500 miles a year.
Yep.
So I was like, wow, you get a supercar, you can't even drive it every day. You have to have
Yep.
multiple supercars just to do it. So, and then also it says right on it, if he takes it to the track, no insurance. So I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
definitely.
that's insane. So like if you get an accident racing it, in Sonoma or Napa or something, you can't even get any insurance. But that makes sense because the chances of you crashing probably super high.
Yeah, definitely. And there's even like gas guzzlers tax, and there's your tags are super expensive. I know on the R8 they're like $1,000 a year just for tags alone, and it's just in a place where it's insane. It's a huge money pit. But if you have the cash, like these guys do that pick them up. I sold to this guy. He was the CEO of Opera Media Works, one of the largest companies in the Bay, and he just picked it up, didn't care about it. He had four other cars and just took it for a ride. It was his weekend joyride car, right? So he had the money, and they don't really care about it at that point.
Yep. So I want to move into another thought. You had mentioned you had your eyes on a Carrera. Is that something that you'd want to drive for a minute and flip, or is it another person that you want to consign for?
I'm consigned for it. It's one of the guys that hits me up. He sells me a lot of stuff, higher end like MacBooks and old stuff.
Mhm.
So seeing if I can sell the Carrera for him. And he has a bunch of contacts. And once you get in there, like that high end group, then you know you're like trustworthy. Because if somebody hands you over a title for a $200 to $100,000 car, you need to at least be trustworthy before they all do it, right? So there's always that one person that kind of gets you in the group. So I'm trying to get into that guy's group and learn from there. I know he had a couple of his friends I've went to his office has a huge like 30-foot trailer that is like up for sale. So I'm gonna sell that too. Really anything I get my hands on that I know I can make money off of. That's my end goal of the month, trying to make some extra cash.
Well, that's super sexy. And I want to tell people in the chat, one of the easiest cars to flip for money is a Porsche. They hold their value really well. After the year 2000, Toyota helped them make reliable cars. So Porsche is very reliable. If you get one made after the year 2000, it's basically a Toyota as far as the production, the way that they make them. And they kill it. I mean, they hold their values so well. They're amazing to drive. Just as like if you guys want an amazing sports car, get an older, early 2000s Boxster. I mean, you're talking about under 20 grand for a super bomb high performance vehicle. So, and they're just a blast to drive. So I hope that
Oh,
he lets you drive it when you sell for him.
oh, definitely. That's my contract. I have to drive it. I have like a couple times I had to drive it. It's on like a date night or whatever. If I take a girl out, that's probably one of my times I use that ticket, right? That's my end goal. But they're all the Porsches are little like go karts. They're super speedy and they just take turns amazingly. They're so nice.
Amazing. So let's talk about would you ever flip a car with your own money?
Yeah, I definitely have. Obviously, it's not supercars, but it's could be 10 to 20 grand worth of car. Those are the kind of things I kind of stick to. Again, you have to buy it at the right price. The thing is about flipping items, it's about the price you buy it. It's not really about what you sell at. Because you can always price it super high, no one ever buy it, but you always want to make a good margin off it. It's not worth your time if you don't.
Amazing. I also want to give people one more idea, and this will be something I go into for sure. So I will be flipping high-end watches. There's a lot of watch dealers in San Francisco. Um, they don't have maybe the time to post everything on eBay. Um, and I don't have the money to buy $5,000 watches. That's $5 million in inventory that I'd like to sell, but I don't have the money to front for it. So I'm definitely going to go set up a light box, go in there, take photographs, get all that stuff listed for them, and sell on consignment. The nice thing about selling a supercar or a really fine timepiece is the sell-through rate's really low.
Mhm.
So people, you're not going to sell them insanely fast. If you had a, exotic dealership, you maybe sell one a day
Yep.
with a few hundred in stock. So they don't move too quickly. So it's something that I really, really want to do. So um, you don't need money necessarily. You could be creative.
Exactly. But you hit it right on the head. You don't need money to make money. That old saying is it's true on the end part, but really to get started, you don't need like I was when I flipped my first car on consignment when I was 18. Right, I had no money. I was going into college, like broke college kid, but
Right.
I just asked and said yes, and then I got the idea, and they let me do it. Right, you just keep plugging away and keep trying.
Yeah. And if you're going to start by buying your own car, I recommend a Japanese car just because they're less scary to flip.
Mm-hmm.
And you can drive them in the meantime, which I really like.
And the repairs are super cheap too. And Japanese cars and even U.S. based Ford and Chevy they're decently priced if you need to repair them, which is very very useful.
Amazing. And if you really do it yourself, you can fix it yourself. There is a popular YouTuber, DIY Mike, Asian dude, just past $2 million in sales. He started by just parting out old cars. So you could grab, an old beater car that's for a couple $100 and sell it for a couple $1,000 in parts. If you have the patience to take it apart, list every item, if you have a passion for building things and taking things apart, um, selling cars is a great niche to go into. And always, when you deal with things that are really expensive, there's always margin built in.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely, especially with
you
big
can do
brand names. Like I went to the States and this lady had Audi floor mats, right? Floor mats, bought them for a couple bucks, and they're like a couple $100 flip easily, even for floor mats for an Audi. It's just a brand
for
name
sure.
that sells really well.
Yeah, you definitely want to do it. And then, okay, so let's talk about this. Let's go back into your regular store for mortals. You're selling some electronics in your store. Tell us how you find it. What kind of electronics do you like to sell?
Yeah, definitely. I love old vintage electronics. I stick to maybe film cameras. I think I have one right here. Like old film cameras, like this Nikon. Like this is some like bread and butter. That's and even like this old record player slash boombox, like a ghetto blaster, stuff like that. Are as long as it has a brand name and you can always check on your phone. That's what I do. They sell really great and they're very very cheap. I garage sales and estate sales because people don't know what they really have. They get rid of them just because they're sitting in their garage for a while and they haven't used it in years. So they go, here's a couple bucks. Why not? So that's what I do.
For sure. I just sold a Panasonic boombox for
Really?
about $30, a dollar at a garage sale. Um, they said they didn't know if it worked or not. I went home, I put four double D batteries in it, old school, and it worked just fine. And I put in the listing, works fine, but it's vintage electronics, right? So I took a picture. This is my tip for selling vintage electronics. Take a picture with the item on. Don't say it's working and then don't prove
Yep.
that it's working because then, they could use it for a couple of days and the item could break and then you're liable. So like,
Mhm.
or when they get it and it's damaged during shipping, you won't have a case with the post office. If you don't take a picture with it actually on, I'm not going to believe you that it works. I don't know. What do you think?
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I try to put all my pictures that at least the first picture has it on and playing or on and going. Is a big thing. You hit it right on the nose. People want to see if it's working because they don't want to waste their time getting it shipped to them and then shipping it back. Because that probably happens a lot. I know for me, I always try to test things, but some things you can't always test because you don't have the right knowledge for testing, especially if you're starting out, which is insane.
So give us some tips on how to start with electronics because I just barely started this year.
Okay.
And I had definitely a learning curve. When I first started, I had 10 to 20% returns on vintage electronics. And now
Okay.
now it's much better, but what are some
No,
tips?
yeah, definitely. For tips of buying, I look at brand names because the brand names have really always gone from the time the 70s or even 60s or 50s. They kind of trended out. Panasonic, um, Canon, Nikon, stuff like that are really big. For the return rate, you're kind of stuck on a lot of things. I look at really people, their buying patterns and what if they have a lot of reviews, because I always get some people that have like one or two reviews and I sell them something and I usually always get it returned. Either they use it or use a fake account and bring it back once they're done using it for some return fraud, or they just take a part of it. I've had somebody try to part one of my things out. I look inside and there's nothing on. There's no guts to it. It's this old IKE reel to reel, and he took all the insides out. And what do I have? I can't go to eBay and say they took everything out of the inside, because eBay's always going to go with the customer instead of the seller, which is the hard part.
Yeah, I know. eBay is always going to side with your customer, but make sure if it's a high dollar item, or if you come back, you can actually group a bunch of cases together and call eBay at the same time to say like, this person, I marked my items with a black light. I'll give you guys an example. I just sold 19 pieces of Apple electronics from one person, like monitors, keyboards, mice, all that stuff. And I put in the listing, they have been marked with a black pen to prevent returns. Like, and I just did that because they're gonna sell instantly, because these things have a very high rank and there's not a very high supply. Apple is an insanely popular brand, and there's a lot of people looking for it. So I marked it with a black pen. Just I wrote the number of my listing on it. But the reason is because I don't want them to return their old one, and I get stuck with their old item, and they'll switch out their broken item with my working item. You got to make sure. And when I've done that, my returns went way, way, way down. And then also, I sold a Marantz record player. Marantz is a fantastic old brand. Marantz Yamaha does super well for me, but the Marantz record player I sold for $528. I paid $28 for it, and I said in the listing I'm going to film myself shipping it to make sure it's legit. So I went to the UPS store. I filmed myself doing it, paying for the insurance, just so I have it in backup. If he tries to send me something different, you just got to be careful when you're dealing with electronics. In my experience, vintage electronics have an insane profit margin.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best, I believe. Yeah, it's one of the best by far on eBay, I believe. Especially if you get them at garage sales. There's some things that you can take, like you hit it on the top of the point. The old Apple. If you buy anything like vintage Apple, you buy it for $10, you can flip it for $200-300 in a matter of a day or two. It's insane. A tip is don't be afraid to buy bigger things. That's one thing. When I started out, I was trying to buy super small stuff. But now I went into bigger things, and I go through, obviously, the best way to do it is FedEx. Don't go through USPS. That's why I learned probably the biggest learning curve for me of the whole reselling is do not go through USPS for big things.
So I wanted to share this with you because you like selling electronics. There's a person in my Patreon group that does $200,000 a month on eBay in electronics. Okay. Yeah. And the cost on this 200,000 is 20,000. Okay, so $20,000 cost, $200,000, 200 to 250,000 in revenue. Get this, $65,000 a month in returns.
What? That's
Great.
Insane.
Insane. So like, you have to have balls of steel to handle that. I mean, that's a gigantic part of your business is returns. We're talking 30% returns. So when you're in this type of market, he knows that. And so he knows like he needs to be in the item 1/10 of the cost to make up for this, and I was just looking at Stripe as a processor for a new company I'm starting. And they asked, if you are in a business with high returns, please let us know so we don't flag you when you have high returns. Because for some businesses, that's part of the process. Mm-hmm. In vintage electronics, the odds of somebody having an old record player, buying yours, shipping back their broken one is very high. Huge. So like, you got to be very careful. It's just scary. Mm-hmm. But I just thinking,
where does that guy even get that many? Like I do well with vintage electronics. I don't do $250 a month in vintage electronics. Where does he find all this stuff? That's what I'm wondering, right?
It's the same thing, estate sales, garage sales, and just really gets, he's just been doing it for a long time, understands um, that he has certain auctioneers that send him stuff.
Really
Okay, we're
interesting.
doing a new house this weekend. We've got this much stuff. We don't want to deal with it. It's bulky, it's heavy, it's annoying. Come pick up all of it for X amount. And you'll show up in a minivan and take all of it. You got to understand electronics. Like one of the reasons why I think electronics are so valuable is they're literally worth zero to the person you're buying it from.
Mhm.
They're not using it. They take up a lot of space. They're extremely dusty. Bugs live in electronics because if they're on and they're fans, like it's a warm place. They also have the insulation where bugs like to live. I had a whole bunch of people yell at me because I told them not to buy electronics because of bugs. But I was just joking. Like not all electronics have bugs in them. But like for people that live in an area with lots of bugs, that's where they live.
No, definitely, definitely, especially Arizona. You find some weird things in some weird places, and there's a lot of bugs, scorpions, snakes in Arizona. I found some like you know the thing is when you go to the garage sale and they have a bunch of just stuff in the back, you like rummage through, you don't know what you're gonna find, right? I found a little rattlesnake in the corner one time. Like, okay, gotta stay back a little bit, gotta stay back. There's always scorpions everywhere, but yeah, they again they live anywhere they can get into, especially if it's warm, right? Especially when there's fans and stuff going on.
Hmm. So let's talk about the future. You're
Okay.
doing about 10,000 a month right now. Are you looking to, you're an entrepreneur, are you looking to start companies? Do you want to um, always keep your eBay business as a side hustle because it's fun? Do you want to grow it into a company? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no. So I do around I net around 10K a month on eBay alone, and what I shoot for is to it's just a fun side hustle. It takes me a little bit of time, and I just love doing it. I got really into like the old vintage electronic stuff, but my main goal is to build products. What I do right now, obviously, I have a lot of contacts in China, and I build my own products. I have a consulting company at building products as well. So that's what my end goal is to do. I obviously go Kickstarter. I've actually been invited to go on Shark Tank 3 times now for one of my products, my first product. Actually, I still have,
Wow.
I'll bring up the voicemail just to prove it because no one ever believes me. But yeah, so that's what my end goal is too. That's what I really, really love to do is just build crazy things. Let's see if you can hear this.
I love it.
It's Deanne, and I'm calling from ABC Shark Tank. I got your submission, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the neck. So please give me a call back.
Then he goes their number. But yeah,
Amazing.
so that's what I really love to do is build cool things. And eBay is a fun side hustle, and I really do enjoy doing it. It's like it's treasure hunting, right? That time you get that like huge win. I know for you is probably the shoes, right? When you hit that win, you're like, yes, let's go. But yeah, I really do love just the eBay grind. It's really fun.
Absolutely. And I think it's the difference between straight up being a hustler versus being a business builder. When you have your own brand, it's yours, you own it. There may be some intellectual property, there may be a specific advantage that you've made something better. Very exciting. It's a different kind of fun. Treasure hunting is great. You go out there and you find something, but you can't find 10 vintage electronic. There's no vintage electronics factory.
True.
It's already been made. You have to go out there and find it and hunt and go find some stuff. I'm a big fan of building your own business, branding, marketing, creating a concept that you can do. You and I have both also successfully funded a Kickstarter.
Yep, definitely. That was insane. Super fun.
Another crazy thing that we've both done. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so that was my first product called Go. I actually built it in my dorm room of my in my freshman year. Like I took some tin snips, bolt cutters, and like random things around my dorm, and started building this product. And got investments from like the school, and they kind of helped me out. And then just kept building from there. And it ended up after being this product took so long to build. It was the hardest product. There's sourcing companies that like left me because they have never tried to build a product this difficult and such like small little products. They left. So yeah, I started a Kickstarter, launched it, hit the $10,000 goal off my first Kickstarter, and we have the products coming in right now to ship out to people. So it's really fun. What about your Kickstarter campaign?
Amazing. I did a book.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give one away to somebody in the chat today, and then I'm also gonna send you one for being on my show today, which is awesome.
Oh.
So DM me or text me your address in a second, and we'll get it. But I was obsessed with Uber when it first came out because I thought it was cool. So I wanted to write a book on it. And like as an example, um, so like I started a Kickstarter the first time saying I wanted to write a book about Uber, and excuse my language, but no one gave a shit. Everyone was like, "This
Sure.
this is a stupid book. I don't care about it." And I was like, "Man, there's got to be a book in here somewhere. I want to write a book." And then this person said, "Why don't you write a book about the people you pick up?" I would buy that book, and I'll
Mhm.
pledge to you if you make a book about the people. So I decided to make a hardcover only of a book because I think books are cool. I like actual physical hard copy books. This book never released on Kindle or CreateSpace, even though I can. There's not a lot of money in books, so for me, it was just for fun. But I had a good friend of mine illustrate it, and like as an example, this guy was dressed up really fancy. He went to a dive bar and he brought his own wine. He was like a very pompous asshole type, and somebody poured their PBR, which is Pabst Blue Ribbon, into his wine, and like he was kicked out of the bar. The guy that poured the PBR was the one that called the Uber. He's like, "Take this asshole home." He's like, "I don't know why you would show up into a like a divey bar like this, dressed up in a suit. Totally, I don't know why you would do that." And anyway, I had a lot of fun. I picked up about 3,000 people, even though the book's called 10,000 Rides. I never completed it because I didn't like driving for Uber. It's pretty brutal. But what I would do is after I was done driving, I would call my friend Scott. I would leave a voicemail of the person I picked up to describe the event, and then he would draw it. And he actually had no idea what he was drawing. And I didn't tell anyone I was writing the book until I was done, actually.
Okay. Very
So
cool.
I think that's important too. Like if you guys have a project and you talk about it too much, a million people have a lot of questions. It's distracting. So like I didn't even tell people that I know I was running a Kickstarter until it had already funded.
Wow.
So and I
Very
also
cool.
didn't start the Kickstarter campaign until I was done. So
Okay.
I already had all these people from the original campaign that wanted to buy it. So guys, Kickstarter is not free money. There are already people that wanted to buy the book when I was making it, around $4,000 worth. So I told my friend, "Will you illustrate this book for $4,000?" And he said, "Sure." It took him 9 months to draw all 52 things in it, but I'm like, "I'll give you 100% of the money. I already know those people are going to buy it." And so he was excited. It ended up raising 10 grand, which paid for the book. I only have 20 left. If you guys want to see it, it's in my it's actually in my it's in my eBay store. I only have about 20 copies left, and they're hardcover. They're all signed by me, and they're not available ever in digital version because I think that's cool. The people who have this book, there's only 500 copies. That's it.
That's
So
super cool. Dang.
the extra couple grand I would make from CreateSpace or Kindle is cool, but like there's not a lot of money in books.
Very true. You have to do massive
Um,
amount of books, and you have to get a
you have to do a
bestseller, but
massive
even
amount.
still.
It's also cool, guys, that you can self-publish something. You don't need to work through a publisher. So let's put this in the chat. So 88 people in the chat. If you guys like the video, and I'm going to give one away right now. So let's put in the chat the most interesting thing you have sold in the last week. And I'm going to write down a random number right now. And you can guess as many times as you want. So put down stuff that you've sold, and I'll write down a random number right now on a piece of paper, and I'll count starting from Deb Moltraz's comment right now, and I'll just randomly pick somebody based on this number, and we'll give away a book. So guys, put in the chat something that you sold this week. Doesn't have to be cool. Just put something in the chat that you sold this week, and I'll throw it down. And I guess Thomas Wilkins is making this comment that it is a lot of money if you're a popular author, but I was unable to sell out 500 books, so I'm obviously not that popular. So let's go into this. Tell us a little bit about, let's say you're at 10,000 net now. What's the next step?
The next step, I need to start building out. Right. It's gone past my time because I have other projects I do. I need to
Yep.
start having people I need to find a reliable source of income that can bring me in new products. Right, that's the hardest problem I'm having is finding those products. I'm a picker, so eBay, I just basically pick stuff up through garage sales, estate sales, Craigslist offer up, and there's only a certain amount you can get. I know I was telling you beforehand, like August did great because you find a lot of things. September just got hammered because I couldn't find anything, and then October is trying to pick back up, especially because December is coming up. But it's all based on what you can find. There's no reliable income source or products you can bring in. So that's why I need to find a way to really build that out. So I've been trying to figure out a great source to really find a way to source. That's why I thought that interesting about reality calls the auctioneers up. I actually probably will do that this weekend and start doing that and try to build as many things out. I have a couple guys on stage sales that give me all the vintage electronics. But yeah, that's probably the next big thing. Hopefully by next year, I want to do at least like 250, 300 minimum on eBay. And then I want to try to hit $1 million total in all my businesses. That's my goal next year.
Sexy goal. Okay. So let's talk about this. I've been helping people build their ideal eBay store. So for you, your ideal eBay store might be what you can get at garage sales and estate sales and auctions each week. I interviewed someone called the Straight Eight, and he said that for his own sanity, he doesn't want to list more than 200 items a week. He's like,
Definitely.
I don't want to do more than 200 items a week. I would hate my life if I had to do more than that. So 200, but I'm going to slowly increase the ASP of those 200 items over time and get better and better at it. And my wife and I are going to do it. And they did 95,000 last month.
Wow.
200 auctions at $160 ASP. That is sexy.
That's insane. That's insane.
Right?
Wow.
So not super easy to get to that level, but for them, they want to handle 200 auctions per week. They want to pack them all. They do 100% auctions, rare items, and that's super exciting because they know what their ideal store is. Mm-hmm. They could have employees and get 500 to 1,000 items up each week or something, but they don't want that because they can run it at home. They get to spend all their time together. It's interesting. So for you, do you think of yourself as like, this is the time I have for eBay and the rest of it I'm going to work on other projects?
Yeah, definitely. So that model will be perfect. 200 items is pretty easy, especially if you're higher ASPs. So that's a perfect model that I would do, especially for eBay. Because then I try to split my time with some other projects. I try to do 30% eBay, 30% other projects, because those are where really the cash flow is going to be, and that's where really I can have that big growth. So that's my goal. eBay is just super, super fun, and I love going hunting. That's my favorite part about the day. It's about the weekend, actually.
What's the other 30%? 30% eBay, 30% other projects?
70% other projects. So everything from the
projects.
Kickstarters, obviously the Amazon and Walmart that we're getting to now, and then my consulting business that I do on the side.
Awesome. So we need a couple more people to guess in the chat what they sold this last week. The number I had is kind of high, so keep guessing. We're almost there. I'll give away a book on this call and also send one to Ty. Is there anything, or if you guys have any questions for Ty, please ask it. If you have questions on how to sell supercars, guns, or electronics, throw that in the chat and we'll go ahead and get an answer. Are there any niches that you'd like to explore beyond cars, guns, and electronics? That's pretty manly, bro, too. That's like that's a pretty manly group of niches right there.
Oh, yeah, that's what I enjoy. The shoe game sounds really interesting. You're hitting me with that. That sounds really, really cool. Again, it's I don't know. I'm still pretty relatively new to the eBay. I've been buying and selling since I was 12 to 11 years, but the eBay side it's been not too long. So hopefully the shoe sounds very cool. Obviously, I don't know. There's some guys that do some cool like swords and stuff. I found a really cool like Macedonian vintage sword one time at a estate sale. I think it was super cool. I don't know. What is your opinion? What should I do to really grow my eBay store?
You should sell beard accessories. It's pretty manly. No, I don't know. I think that high ASP, I would maybe look into medical devices.
I do some medical devices, but not that many.
Medical devices, possibly bikes.
Okay.
Possibly boating equipment. Robert wants to know where in Arizona you live.
Scottsdale, Old Town.
Scottsdale. Okay. So, how about golf equipment?
Yeah, no, definitely. Golf wins. I've been getting into that, especially in Arizona. During wintertime, that's when everybody actually goes golfing because it's not super, super hot. I actually bought a couple sets of clubs a little while ago. Again, it's just all based on what I can find, and it's the finding part, which has been the hard part for me. And that's why I need to find reliable sources that will sell me some product.
I have a secret idea I want to share with you after this call when it comes to sourcing more stuff.
Definitely. You got to hit me with it, dude.
Okay, so the number, guys, is 30. So I'm going to go back and count and wait, let's see. You guys can verify 30. I'm going to go back and count and give away this book right now. But why don't you tell us a couple of mistakes that you've made?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little bit at the first time, but shipping. I was scared to ship big things. But when you go to the bigger things, that's when you're going to really, really maximize your profit. I was doing probably like five-ish, doing shipping small things, and then it really boosted my sales when I really got into the larger things. And go through FedEx or UPS. Personally, I do FedEx because I think it's cheapest. It's my favorite. They have really good insurance policy. But yeah, that's what I do. That's probably my number one biggest thing. Second one is not taking your time at some of the garage sales and estate sales. What I found out is there's a few honey holes, as I call them, in each week, right? So there's a few garage sales that will make your majority of your sales that week and your majority of your buys that week. So spend some time at those ones that you can see has good profits, and when you go there, you're like, wow, I made a few $100s. I'm gonna stay here for a bit longer and then go from there. I see some people. There's this guy. He's my arch nemesis. I hope he's on here because I want to see you around. But like I see him just roll up. He looks real fast, buys small end things, doesn't take his time and like research, and then I go in after him. I pick up all the bigger end, more valuable items that he just leaves behind and doesn't make any sense, even though he's there sometimes before me because he does it so quickly, but he doesn't take his time on those sales that you can really maximize your profit. That's why the second big thing that I did wrong. Third, probably just being scared to spend money. Money makes if you have some cash, if they want $200 or something that you comp out and you know you probably make $500-600, spend the $200. You're gonna make some good money. It's those things that really grow your store really well. And I know at first I was scared to spend that money because I didn't have it at the time, and I would just go dollar, $5, $10. And if I had $100 in my pocket, I would be scared to spend that and really boost my sales that day. Because that one sale you buy for $100 that can make you $1,000. I know I bought these speakers one time, spent a few $100, and it like made me a few grand. So it's about spending that money when you know the comps are there, and you for sure know on your phone that you can make some good cash. That's probably the big things.
Great tips. The winner of the contest is Ricky Mitchie won for a mannequin head. So email me at 10konthebay@gmail.com. Send me the item number so I can verify, and then send me your address so I can get this book in the mail. So I'll send out 2 books tomorrow. Very exciting, very cool. I'm glad I was able to give that away. Thanks, guys, for participating in the giveaway. And as far as there's a couple of questions for you. Have you ever tried drop shipping?
No, yeah, I definitely did. The Shopify dropshipping model is pretty good, especially have the contacts in China. The free plus dropshipping, I think it's pretty much going out. You can obviously on eBay, but it's you don't have the control of what you want, and your margins are so small that really getting into it isn't what I really want to do. Especially because you can always get banned and stuff, and you get a lot of negative feedback. But dropshipping on Spotify, using high-end items, or even probably eBay too, probably be a great thing to do if you have the time and the know-how.
Awesome. Well, I want to be respectful of your time. We're coming up on an hour. We don't have to stick straight to an hour, but I want to ask you a very specific question. Sure. So let's say the profit margin on an item is $20. Random item. How much are you willing to spend to make this $20? And how long are you willing to wait?
That's a good question. For $20, it's pretty slim, right? And if it's above $50, I want to sell it that day. right? That's the thing. If I spend $50, I make $20. I need to sell that day or in a day or two maximum. That's like pushing it. $20, I try to spend $1 or $2. That's my end goal, especially at, like estate sales and garage sales. You can always find that's like your bread and butter. You can find all the time. Spend $1 or $2, maybe $5. That's like pushing it. 10, you're kind of going past it because you probably won't make that much money. Especially when you got to ship something that's a little bit bigger. That's my that's what I try to shoot for.
That's something that I wanted to ask you. So I have decided that because I want to do volume, I want to do 1,000 items a week, which I have the capacity to do right now. I'm thinking double my money every 90 days. Now, here's the thing. There's definitely items that I buy for $1 and I sell for 20 or 30 or whatever, but not all the time. There are some items I buy that should sell right away that don't.
Sure.
But I'm not going to panic. I'm not going to discount it for literally 5 months. I've decided that I'll wait up to 5 months, but I'd like it to sell in 90 days or less if I spend 20. So 20 for 20, I can wait 90 days because that's literally, 10 times what the market yields in the stock market or something. I'm still doubling my money, and still 90 days is still pretty quick, but it starts to go down as I spend more. So as an example, I will spend 100 to make 20 in 30 days or less if the item is new.
Okay, I see it.
So not new, I won't do it. And a new, usually I can get more than one. So I'm okay with it. It cannot be longer than 30 days, though. Otherwise, it ties up too much capital.
No, I definitely agree with you. You hit it on the point that if you can double your money, the 20 for 20 model is insane. That's great. Again, you can't get that in the stock market. There's nowhere that will yield that much money. Like your job, like if you pay $20, like that takes 2 hours of a part-time job. You hit on the top of the head. The $100 is like for new items, yes. For used, like if you buy a used iPhone, not iPhone, but use something that's used for $100 and it might devalue. I'm kind of fluxing on that, especially if you get shipping into it and whatnot, and it ties up a lot of cash. I like to try to like maximize as much as possible. The 20 for 20, definitely. 100, yeah. I think if you can get a lot of units, I would be so down because that's my problem right now. Is finding units. So if I can put $100 down and make 20 off, if I can get 100 of that unit, for sure, because it's so easy and it's easy money.
Agreed. I love it. I'm having great experience so far with retail arbitrage, buying stuff that's brand new, 5, 6, 7 of them, listing them, and they sell fast. The profit's not great, but they sell fast, and there's no listing. Like if I buy 10 for 100, that's $1,000 in capital, but it's gonna sell fast. If let's say the market is saying they're selling for 140, 150, 120, they're gonna move, especially if it's popular. I am also something that's interesting. Can you walk us through your listing process? You just picked up vintage boombox. Now what?
Yeah, no. So I always use my phone. I believe it's the fastest. Even though I have like a bunch of cameras sitting around, I go straight to my phone, post it up. So I do 12 photos, even if it's like a camera or whatnot, just so it boosts it up in the rankings. I do 12 photos. I do on the side and stuff. I just use my hand. It doesn't matter to me. And then post in the description where it says what is it? Condition. I give a quick description because that just boosts the post up. I use my phone. I just do it the fastest, and I'm pretty lazy sometimes. I do this because it's fun, right? And going the camera for you doing the clothes, that's you got to do the camera, right? Because you have so many, and you have your photographer do it. For me, doing higher ticket items that are like vintage, that many, I use my phone because it takes me, like today I picked up a bunch of cameras. It took me 10 minutes to post them all just using my phone, which that's my favorite.
Amazing. I love it. Guys, also I want you guys know next month, starting on November 1st, there will be a 24/7 listing party on my channel, meaning that when you want to list, you can log in. There was great success with it last week when I was testing it. At one point, we had 40 people listing at the same time. It was like mind-boggling to me. It was like I was like, hey, everyone, shout out what you're listing. And it was like, I'm listing a Lilo Halloween costume, flatware, car parts, jackets. It was like crazy seeing all those people, and I was on them, and it was crazy how focused I was, because you don't want to be the guy who's, you know, on Instagram. You want to be working. All these people are making money. You want to be on there and listening with people live. It's very fun. And got to shout out Mighty Mushroom in the chat, says that he's here for my whiskey. Bro, you should come down. I think he's coming down for, we're having a couple of we're having an event here in a couple of weeks. And I definitely want to come out and visit you in Arizona for an event, because you know, we have Rad Cellar down there, 19th Vintage Roberts down there. Should be fun. Do you know any local resellers?
No, that's the reason why I reached out to you. Is I don't know any local resellers at all. And I know this guy. I hope he's in this chat and he sees me around. There's this guy. He's my arch nemesis that I compete against in my head mentally though. That's the only reseller I really see around a lot.
Crazy. You'd be surprised how many local meetups there are. And Global Voodoo is out there too. He makes vlogs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get more in the vlogging too. So you also have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, definitely. Just started a little while ago. It's super fun. That's why I'm getting into it. So just trying to help everybody out, bring some free content and whatnot.
Yep, I love it. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to Ty, in the chat below, here's a link to his channel. Check it out, and then let him know what content that you're looking for. Because if you guys don't know this already, none of my content is original. It's people that have been asking me to make specific topics. It's people reaching out to me on Instagram that want to be on the show, you know. And if you want to reach out to me, don't just say, I want to be on the show. Like, explain what value you can bring to the community. Like now, you know, I had never considered flipping guns, even though I've sold 1,000 cars. I don't think about selling cars that often. And electronics, you know, for a while, I didn't want to mess with it because of the return rate. But, you know, you get in here, you learn from different people, you share different experiences, you share that you screwed up, and, you know, you learn from it.
Yeah, definitely. The guns, you got to get into guns, man. There's some insane cash. That's some of my biggest flips I've ever had were guns. Just people trying to offload massive. You got to have a bunch of cash, though. That's the only thing. If you find like a big lot, this one lady she had like 20 or 30, and I can only pick up a few select. If I had more cash on me, because there's so many people around that were trying to just grab them, right? So you got to do it, man. There's some big profit margin in that, and they sell. I pick up guns and they sell in a day, tops.
Man, that is crazy. I've talked to some resellers that are like 1 week. If it takes longer than a week, I'm redonating it. I'm like, how are you that impatient that you need to sell things in 1 week? People definitely want to do that.
Really? Dang. That's like, you got to wait on some stuff, right? You got to find the right buyer. Like if you see, you look at your phone. I look at my phone. I'm at the garage in the States of, and I see how many people are buying it, right? And you kind of guess how long it's going to take and what you price point you put at. But you got to sit on some stuff, right? Even though it's a lot of money in things. I just bought this camera the other day. It was like $700. I'm not going to pull that much profit off because I got off Craigslist, but I'm going to sit on it for a few weeks. But again, it's $700. Do I want to flip it now or not? That's the thing. You got to take away how much cash you got into it. If it's $1 for a $600 flip, I'm going to hold on to that until Christmas if I have to, you know?
Okay, so let's say you find a Rebel 5 on Facebook Marketplace, and they're asking, let's say, $300. What goes through your mind? How do you do it? Because people are always asking me how I research, how I find. You see it, you think immediately, okay, it's profitable. Where do you start?
Yeah, no, definitely. So I go for this is a little tip I do. I go on, let's say, Facebook Marketplace, and I go actually to the longest listing. I go all the way down. I scroll down to the bottom, and I type in like cameras or vintage electronics or something I'm trying to find. Scroll all the way down to the bottom, and people that overpriced it a year ago, it was low bomb hard. I go, I'll give you $20 for this. You go, I'll give you 100. Sure, why not? I type it in. I just copy and paste it to my eBay. How much should I buy it for? At least 50% margin. If I try to do that, like if I buy it for 100, I need to at least sell for 200, and then pick it up. That's my favorite thing. Just side by side. I have it on my computer, so I just flip it up to my other screen and then just go through all listings. But I usually try to sort it out, and I try to scroll down to the bottom. It's just sitting there, so people haven't gotten rid of it. So that's what I normally do. What about you?
I actually really like that strategy. If you go to the older ones, people are like, why isn't my stuff selling? And then you get that ping. Oh, somebody's finally interested. And then if they don't get mad at your low ball, you didn't low ball them enough. That is the straight
Exactly.
8 strategy. And someone is asking if his username is public. It is not. So straight 8 is trying to keep it on the low key. But the categories that he sells in, he's very straightforward. He sells in medical supplies, bikes, sports memorabilia, electronics, and he's looking for items on auction websites that are $120 or more. Okay, so now you need to know your stuff because that's not super easy.
Mhm. Does he go
$120
straight
average
to
sale price is
auction?
no joke.
Yeah, definitely not. Is that where he gets majority of stuff? Is just auction houses?
Auction houses, and then he also has 8 to 10 estate sale auctioneer people.
Okay.
So he's built those relationships. And imagine that. Imagine they text you.
I got
Hey,
one of those
Ty, I
today,
got all the
actually.
possible stuff. Do you want it? You know, like, okay.
Dude, I got one of those today. Like this guy I was talking to, I bought a load of carousels. Like I get to do film cameras. I bought a load of these carousels, like these projectors, like 200 of them. And he's like, I got that and like 3 carousel projectors and like a camera and a lens, really cheap. And I gave him my card. I'm like, hey, text me if you have any of these things. He calls me today. Hey Ty, I have this, this, and this. You want to pick it up? Yes, I am so down. Sure, I'll pay. I'm gonna give him a high. I'll pay higher up for it now because he's giving me these good deals because I want to make him some money too. It won't be a huge flip, but again, it's constant. That's what I'm trying to look for.
Yeah, take care of the people who hook you up. If they call you and they want 7 for it, don't be like, how about 6? They're already bringing you the deal. If you can sell for $20, just be okay with it. Don't grind people. They're not going to call you back. Like
Yep.
you want to be nice. I'm also going to shout out Duncan VR in the chat. He's in Australia, and I was doing a little bit of research. I was kind of what do they call it? Creeping his store, and I noticed that a lot of his stuff is eBay to eBay flipping, which is
Interesting.
amazing. Which means you can sit at the comfort of your home, look for stuff on eBay, reflip it on eBay. That's
Definitely.
amazing.
I would want to talk to Duncan. Duncan, hit me up, man. I want to see what you do. I can give you some tips too. That sounds really interesting. Do you have a bot? I'm thinking about doing a little bot for a couple of things. Is that what you do? I want to get into that too. It'd be interesting.
I don't know, but that's exciting to be able to literally not even leave your house. Some people are like, oh, it's such a hassle to leave your house. How about people who never leave their house? So
Literally
like
ship it to you and you ship it out. That's so perfect. That is amazing.
so we have guys in the chat. Just want to shout out Prince. He is Wired by Biz on Instagram. He does $40,000 a month on eBay. He doesn't even have a car. Okay, like he can't go and get it. It has to come to him. So guys, it's all there. Um, don't give up. Be more creative. It's not about having enough resources. It's about being resourceful. So, Ty, I want
Exactly.
you to tell people where they can find you, and we'll call it a night.
Yeah, you can find me at Ty_Blunt on Instagram. If you want to talk to me or ask me questions, that's probably the best place. Or on YouTube, Dorm Room CEO. Yeah, hit me up on anywhere. I will give you as much content as possible. If you ask me any questions, I will be for sure to hit you back up as fast as I can. About even if you want to build products, I have a lot of people that ask me how to build products. Give me a shout on Instagram, and I can always help you out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.